Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about slope-intercept form. We're going to be learning what is slope-intercept form, the different components, how to graph it, and how to write an equation from the graph. So this is just another form of a linear equation. So make sure that before you watch this video, you watch the video on point slope form where I talk a little bit more about linear equations. And if you're ready, let's begin. So what is slope-intercept form? Well, slope-intercept form looks like this: y equals mx plus b, where m represents our slope. And if you don't know what slope is, make sure to watch that video as well, where I talk about slope and how to find slope from 2 points, because we're going to be doing that a lot today. So slope is another way to say it is just the steepness of the line, and it's also rise over run. Okay, so that's always going to be m. Our b is our y-intercept. So it's basically that point where the line crosses the y-axis. And it's always going to be written as 0, comma b. So in other words, your y-intercept is when x is 0. And that is very important. So make sure to write that down. Your y-intercept is when x is 0, where the line crosses the y-axis. So this is what it looks like when it's all together. Y equals your slope times x plus your y-intercept. Y equals mx plus b. So from here, I want you guys to simply identify the slope and to identify the y-intercept. Well, we know that slope-intercept form looks like y equals mx plus b. So your slope, m, is always whatever is next to x. So make sure to keep that in mind. In this case, y equals 3x minus 2. Our m will simply be 3 because that's whatever is next to x. And our b is our y-intercept, so that would be negative 2. And that's it. That's all you need to get from this equation. Now try number 2 on your own. And when you're ready, unpause the video and let's work on it together. Here we have y equals 1/2 x plus 1. Well, remember, m is just whatever is next to x. So in this case, my slope would be 1/2, and my b is whatever is by itself. And in this case, it would be 1. And that's it. Let's try these now. Here we have y equals x plus 1. Now you're probably wondering, there's no number in front of x. So there is always an invisible 1 being multiplied to x. We know anything times 1 is just itself. So 1 times x is just x, which is why we just infer that there's an invisible 1 always in front of it. So that means that m, my slope, is just simply 1. And then my b is also 1 because we have that plus 1. And then here we have y equals 3x, where we know from the beginning that my slope, my m, is going to be 3. However, my b, well, there's nothing being added, and a number for nothing is just 0. So you're probably wondering, isn't there an invisible 1? Well, that's only when we're multiplying by x. So if there's just x, like how we saw in number 3, then yes, there's an invisible 1. But here, when it comes to addition, a number for nothing when we're adding is just 0, because here we're adding nothing. So we know that it's just plus 0. So let's take a look at this problem here. A line has a slope of 2 and a y-intercept of 4. Write an equation in slope-intercept form, then graph the line. Well, remember, slope-intercept form looks like this: y equals mx plus b. So that means I'm going to write this as y, and then m is my slope, and they told me that my slope is 2, so I'm going to write 2x plus my y-intercept is 4, and my y-intercept is always b, so it'll be 2x plus 4. And that's it. That's literally my equation. My slope goes into m, goes right in front of x, and my y-intercept is 4, is b. And now they want us to graph the line. Well, Remember when we talked about our y-intercept? Our y-intercept is always when x is 0, so we could write this as a point, as 0, 4. It is also when it intersects the y-axis. So when it comes to graphing a line from slope-intercept form, the first point that we want to put is our y-intercept. Kind of similar to point-slope form, where the first point we would put is whatever point they gave us. Here, the first point has to be our y-intercept. So I'm first going to put 0, 4. So this stays at 0, and I go 1, 2, 3, 4. This right here is 0, 4. And then, similar to how we did in point slope form, where we use our slope to plot the rest, we're going to do the same thing here. The slope here is m equals 2, and this is the same thing as saying 2 over 1. So that means that we're going to go up 2 and to the right 1. We're going to go up 2 to the right 1, and then we're going to do the opposite. So I'm going to go down 2 to the left 1. And that's it. This is my line here. And that's it. That's how you graph it from slope-intercept form. Now let's try this one out. A line has a slope of -2 over 3 and a y-intercept of 5. Write an equation in slope-intercept form, then graph the line. So now I want you guys to take a moment to pause the video and try this problem out. And when you're ready, unpause the video and let's work on it together. So here they tell us that the slope is -2 over 3. So remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So I'm simply going to replace my m with my slope, which is -2 over 3, and my b with my y-intercept, which is 5. So I'm going to rewrite this as y equals -2 over 3x. I always keep the x, plus my y-intercept, which is 5. And that's it. That's my equation in slope-intercept form. And now I'm going to graph it. So the first thing I'm going to graph is at 0, 5, which I take from my y-intercept. So I'm going to put this as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is right here. And then from there, I'm going to use my slope to then plot it. So from here, I'm going to go down 2 and to the right 1, 2, 3. Down 2 and to the right 1, 2, and 3. And that's it. And that is my line from this equation. Now this is another way they might present the problem to you. A line has a slope of 3 and crosses the y-axis at -1. Write an equation in slope-intercept form, then graph the line. Well, remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, and b is simply our y-intercept. And let's remember that our y-intercept is when it crosses the y-axis. So if it crosses the y-axis at -1, that means that our b is just -1. And then our m, which is our slope, is 3. So it's the same exact process, it's just presented to you in a different way. So this is simply going to be y equals 3x. And since it's -1, I'm going to write this instead as -1. So now let's graph this. Same thing. -1 is 0, -1. So I'm going to plot this at -1 just down here. And then my slope, my m, is 3 over 1. So that means I'm going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and to the right 1. 1, 2, 3, and to the right 1. And now I'm going to do the opposite. Down 3, and to the left 1. And that's it. That's my line. Here they tell us a line crosses the points 2, 4, and 5, 6. Write an equation in slope-intercept form, then graph the line. So let's recall that slope-intercept form looks like this. Y equals mx plus b, where we need our slope and our y-intercept. But they don't give us any of those things, so we need to figure that out. But if we remember that slope could be found using 2 points, and they give us 2 points, by doing m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we're going to use these 2 points that they gave us to find our slope, to find our m. So 2 over 4 is x1, y1, and this is x2 and y2. So y2 would be 6, so I do m equals 6 minus 4 over 5 minus 2. 6 over 4 is 2, 5 minus 2 is 3. So that's it. That's how I find my slope. But now, that's going to look something like this. Y equals 2 over 3x plus b. But as we can see, we're still missing my b. So now, there are 2 options on what you could do to find b. I'm going to explain both, and you could choose whichever option you prefer, okay? Either one is going to give you the same answer. So let's do them both. The first option is through grabbing this equation, y equals 2 over 3x plus b, and replacing your y and x with one of the points. So for example, I'm going to use 2 comma 4. So I'm going to replace y with 4 equals 2 over 3 and x with 2, because that's my x comma y, and then plus b. And then I'm simply going to solve for b. So remember that when we multiply fractions, we put the whole number over 1 and we multiply straight across. So I do 2 times 2, which is 4, and then 3 times 1, which is 3. And if what I did is confusing, make sure to watch my video on math rules where I talk about fractions. But anyways, now I'm going to subtract 4 over 3 on both sides. And then I'm going to do 4 minus 4 over 3. And now again, if what I'm about to do is confusing, please make sure to watch that video on fractions. So I'm going to multiply this to get a common denominator. So I'm going to do times 3 over 1 times 3. And I'm going to rewrite this as 12 over 3 minus 4 over 3. 12 minus 4, that is 8, and I get 8 over 3. Therefore, b is equal to 8 over 3. And so my final answer would look like y equals 2 over 3x plus 8 over 3. Now another option that you could do is that you could put this into point slope form and then from there convert it to slope-intercept form. So it'll look something like this. I'm going to use 2 over 4 the same way. I'm going to do, remember that point slope form is y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. So I'm going to rewrite this as y minus 4 equals 2 over 3 x minus 2. So now I'm going to distribute. I'm going to get y minus 4 equals 2 over 3x plus x minus 4 over 3. And then I'm going to add 4 on both sides. And I get y is equal to 2 over 3x. And then same thing, I'm going to turn 4, I'm going to multiply by 3. And I get negative 4 over 3 plus 12 over 3, which will be plus 8 over 3. So as you can see, I get the same answer doing either method. Now it probably looks a little confusing because we're working with so many fractions, but usually it's going to be a lot more easier. So you could pick whichever method you prefer, whatever you feel more comfortable with. Either one will give you the same answer. So let's do some more practice. A line crosses through the points 3, 2 and 7, 4. Write an equation in slope-intercept form, then graph the line. So remember, the first thing that we need to do Remember, the first thing that we need to do is to find m, which is by doing y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This is x1, this is y1, this is x2, and this is y2. So I'm going to do 4 minus 2 over 7 minus 3. 4 minus 2 is 2, 7 minus 3 is 4, and I could simplify this by dividing both the top and the bottom by 2, and I get this is equal to 1/2. Therefore, my slope is equal to 1/2. Now I'm going to do both methods again. And again, you could choose whichever one you feel more comfortable with, but I'm going to do both just in case. So I'm going to use this point here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to replace, so right now we have y equals 1/2 x plus b. I'm going to replace y with 2 equals 1 over 2 times 3 plus b. This is going to be 3 over 2 plus b, and then I'm going to subtract 3 over 2 from both sides, which will be like this. So I could rewrite this as 4 over 2 minus 3 over 2, which is equal to 1 over 2. Therefore, b is equal to 1 over 2. So I will rewrite this as y equals 1/2 x plus 1/2, like that. Now, if you could do this with the fractions, with the whole numbers, this is going to be even easier, okay? So I know it's a lot of fractions, but if you could get through this, then everything else is going to be easy. Now I'm going to write this in point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. So I'm going to write this as y minus 2 equals 1/2 x minus 3. I'm going to distribute 1/2. I get y minus 2 equals 1/2 x minus 3 over 2. I'm going to add 2 on both sides, and then get y equals 1/2 x plus 1/2. And just like that, I get the same answer. And that's it. So the next thing that we are going to learn in this video is how to write the equation of a line when given a graph, which is actually a lot easier than what we've been doing. So the first thing that we're going to do, as always, is to find our slope using 2 points. The second thing that we're going to do is to find our y-intercept, which is just to find when it crosses the y-axis. So it's the same thing that we've been doing, but now we're just observing it from a graph. So let's look at some examples. So right here, they found 2 points. So let's say we have this one right here, and we have this one right here. So remember, the first step is to find our m, our slope. So I'm going to count how many times it rises, which is 1, 2, 3. So my rise will be 3. And how many times it runs? 1, 2, 3. So that will be 3. So my rise over run will be 3 over 3. Which this could be simplified as 3 divided by 3, which is just simply 1. And now the next thing that I need to do is to find my b, which is right here. It goes 1 up, so this is 1. Remember, my b is always 0 because x is always 0, comma 1. So therefore, my b is 1. So my equation, remember it's always y equals mx plus b, so this will just be y equals 1x plus 1, which could just simply be simplified to y equals x plus 1. And that's it. Now let's try this one out. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to find 2 points on my graph, which I see one right here, and I see one right here, and I see another one right here. I see here it goes down 1, and to the right 1, 2, 3. And then here it does the same thing, down 1 and to the right, 1, 2, 3. Therefore, my slope would be, since it goes down, it's going to be negative 1 over 3. And then my b is going to be my y-intercept, which in this case here, I see is this point right here, which goes up 2, so that means this is 2. So that means my b would be 2. Therefore, my equation would be y equals negative 1 over 3x plus 2. And that's it. So now take a moment to try this problem out. And when you're ready, unpause the video and let's work on it together. So the first thing I need to do is to identify my slope. And I'm going to do that through finding my different points. So I have a point right here, and I have a point right here, and I see another point right here. So now I'm going to observe how many times it rises and how many times it runs. Here I see it goes up 1, 2, 3, and to the right 1, 2. And then it goes up 1, 2, 3, and to the right 1, 2. So therefore, my slope is going to be is 3 over 2 because it's always rise over run. And then finally, I need to identify my b, which is when it crosses the y-axis, which is right here. I see this goes down 1, so this will be negative 1. So therefore, my b would be negative 1. So I would rewrite this as y equals 3 over 2x minus 1. And that's it. So now here are some notes on graphing a line using slope-intercept form. So this is just simply going to be some more additional practice problems on graphing. So if you tend to struggle on graphing, take a moment to write the following notes on how to graph a line, which is through first plotting the y-intercept and then using the slope to do at least 2 other points. Now let's try this one out. So I see that my y-intercept is negative 2, and then my slope is 2 over 3. So now first I'm going to plot my b, which is negative 2, so 1, 2 is right here. And then my y-intercept, and then my slope, I'm going to go up 2, so 1, 2, and to the right, 1, 2, 3, up 2, and to the right, 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to go down 2, and to the left, 2, 3, and then down 2, and to the left 3 times. And that's it. So now, let's take a moment to review. In y equals mx plus b, what do m and b mean? Well, m, remember, always is our slope, which is, in other words, our rise over our run. And then our b is always our y-intercept, which is when it intersects the y-axis, or in other words, it's when x is 0. So it's always 0, comma b. Now, if they were to ask, write the equation of a line with a slope of 2 and a y-intercept of negative 3, we would simply plug this in as y equals 2x minus 3. And then finally, describe the graph of the line y equals negative 1 over 2x plus 4. Well, I know that this line has a slope of negative 1/2 and a y-intercept of 4. And that's it.